How AI is changing cybersecurity in 2026. Nothing on your screen is what it seems anymore. Part 0, Cold Open. Hey, quick question before we start. Have you ever been on a video call with your boss, your bank, maybe even your own mother? Now imagine this. What if the person you're looking at isn't actually them? Not a stunt double, not a prank, not a bad Zoom filter. AI, wearing their face, speaking in their exact voice, responding to you in real time. In Hong Kong, a finance employee joined a video call with 5 people he recognized, including his own chief financial officer. He knew every face on that screen. He trusted every voice, but every single person on that call was fake. He authorized transfer after transfer to criminals he'd never actually spoken to. $25 million. Gone. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how that's possible. How AI can fake a face, a voice, even an entire meeting filled with people. And more importantly, you'll learn exactly how to protect yourself, your family, and your money from becoming the next case study. I'm not here to scare you for no reason. I'm here to make sure you're never the person on that call. And stick around until the very end, because I'm going to show you the exact 3-second trick that makes almost any voice clonable. In one simple phrase, just a few words, that can stop nearly every version of this scam cold. That one phrase alone could save you thousands of dollars someday. Seriously. If you're new here, welcome to Cyber Programming Academy, where we break down coding and cybersecurity in plain English. No jargon, no gatekeeping. Let's get into it. Part 1, the roadmap. Here's the game ever section you need. Part 2 takes us all the way back to the basics. What is artificial intelligence, really, and why does it suddenly matter so much for cybersecurity in 2026? Part 3 looks at why criminals specifically love this technology. And honestly, it's the economics of it that makes the situation so frightening. Part 4 is the deep dive. We'll look at how AI is actually being weaponized. Cloned voices, deepfake video calls, phishing emails that sound completely real, fake romantic relationships, and automated scam operations running with almost no human involvement. Part 5 is where we look at real cases, real companies, real people, and numbers that are genuinely hard to believe the first time you hear them. Part 6 flips the entire story around. We'll look at how the good guys are fighting back with AI of their own, because at this point, it really has become an AI versus AI arms race. Part 7 is the part you actually came here for. Practical steps you can use to protect yourself, your family, and since this is a coding channel, a little hands-on Python. And finally, I'll close everything out with a rapid-fire Q&A and a wrap-up. One quick disclaimer before we go any further. I'm not going to teach you how to build any of these attacks. Full stop. That's not what this channel is about. And no, that's not me being boring. That's me keeping both of us out of very awkward conversations with the police. My goal is simple. I want you to understand these techniques well enough that you or someone you love never falls for one. Deal? Deal. Let's start with the basics. Part 2, AI basics for complete beginners. Let's strip away all the sci-fi movie stuff for a second. Honestly, that's what confuses most beginners. In the context of this entire video, artificial intelligence mostly means one specific thing. Software that studies huge amounts of real examples, learns the patterns inside them, and then generates brand new things that follow those same patterns. Think about a person's voice. Feed an AI system thousands of hours of someone talking, and it can learn the patterns in that voice. The pitch, the rhythm, the timing, the little quirks that make that voice recognizable. Then it can generate completely new sentences in that same voice, sentences that person never actually said, in a voice that can sound remarkably close to the real thing. Now apply the same idea to a face. Feed the system thousands of photos and video clips, and it can learn the geometry and movement patterns of that face. Then it can generate a brand new video of that person saying almost anything you type. That's the magic behind the curtain. Pattern in, new pattern out. It's not conscious. It's not thinking like a human. And it's not secretly planning to take over the world. It's an extremely powerful pattern matcher. Now here's the part that really matters for this video. Why is 2026 so different from, say, 2019? Back then, faking someone's voice could take hours of clean recordings and expensive, specialized software. And even then, the result usually sounded a little robotic, a little off. Today, 3 seconds. 3 seconds of audio, maybe taken from a YouTube video, an Instagram story, or even a voicemail greeting, can be enough for a cheap tool to create a voice clone, convincing enough to fool someone who knows the person. Video used to be even worse. Early deepfakes flickered. They glitched. The eyes didn't always blink correctly. The edges of the face could warp when the person turned their head. But today, real-time deepfake video calls exist. That means someone can appear on an actual video call wearing another person's face, reacting to what you say live. And in some cases, the tools are cheap enough to be accessible to ordinary people. That's a massive change. The barrier to entry has collapsed. The cost is lower. The technical skill required is lower, and the time required is lower. What once required something close to a small Hollywood production can now be done with software running on an ordinary laptop. And that single shift is the main reason this video exists. Before we go further, let's do a quick vocabulary check. I'll be using these 5 words constantly, so I want every beginner completely caught up. Deepfake, AI-generated fake video or audio designed to look or sound real. Voice cloning, using AI to imitate a specific person's voice. Phishing, tricking someone into giving away information or money through a fake message, usually while pretending to be someone they trust. Social engineering, manipulating a person psychologically instead of attacking a computer directly. In simple terms, you're hacking the human instead of the machine. Malware, malicious software designed to damage a device, steal information, or spy on someone. Keep those 5 terms in the back of your mind, because almost every case study we're about to cover uses at least one of them, usually several at once. A quick analogy for the non-techie folks. If any of this still feels abstract, here's an easier way to think about it. Imagine an unbelievably advanced photocopier, except instead of copying a piece of paper, it's copying a pattern of behavior. Imagine a machine that has studied 10,000 samples of your handwriting. Eventually, it could learn enough about those patterns to write a birthday card that looks almost exactly like you wrote it. That's roughly what's happening with voice and video AI. The difference is that the patterns are far more complex, and the amount of data can be enormous. 2 more forces help push this technology from a research lab curiosity into an everyday scam tool. The first is the sheer amount of training material available. Every video, every voice memo, every live stream, every recording any of us has uploaded online can potentially become raw material for a clone. The second is accessibility. These tools no longer require a computer science degree. In many cases, using them can be as simple as typing a sentence into an app. And that democratization cuts both ways. It's incredible for legitimate creators, it's useful for accessibility tools, and it gives small businesses access to technology that once cost a fortune. But the exact same tools are also available to people with bad intentions. The basics are done. Now let's talk about why criminals specifically care so much about this technology. Part 3. Why criminals love this technology. I want you to think about scamming for a moment, the way a criminal might think about it, like a business. Cold, I know. But that perspective explains almost everything that's coming. Before AI, running a convincing scam required real human skill. You needed someone who could sound believable on the phone, someone who could stay calm under pressure, someone who could improvise when a victim asked an unexpected question, and someone who could do it again and again and again, without getting tired or making mistakes. That's expensive, that's difficult to find, and it doesn't scale well. AI just wiped away many of those limitations. First, the cost collapsed. Cloning a voice or generating a deepfake video can now cost only a few dollars, sometimes even less. Compare that with paying a skilled con artist by the hour. Then there's scale. One operator using the right automated tools can potentially run hundreds, even thousands of conversations. At the same time, researchers studying this space have described AI-powered scam operations where synthetic voices make the calls. A language model helps guide the conversation based on how the victim responds, and other AI systems can even handle incoming calls when a suspicious victim calls back. Then there's language. Language used to be one of the easiest scam red flags. A foreign accent, unnatural wording, awkward grammar. Those things could make a victim suspicious. AI dramatically reduces that barrier. It can speak fluently in different languages and imitate different regional accents on demand. Then there's fatigue. Humans get tired. Humans get nervous. Humans make mistakes after the 40th call of the day. AI doesn't need a lunch break. It doesn't get frustrated. It doesn't lose concentration in the same way. And then there's something even more dangerous. Testing. Legitimate marketers use A/B testing to find out which headline gets the most clicks. Criminals can apply the same basic idea to scam messages. They can run different versions of the same script, see which ones work, and then focus on the versions that get the best results. No human con artist could realistically run thousands of live experiments at once. Automated systems can. Now, to be clear, none of this means AI itself is the enemy. The same voice cloning technology can help people who have lost their voice communicate again. The same video generation technology powers major parts of the film and gaming industries. This video isn't anti-AI, it's pro you not getting scammed. Context matters, intent matters, and unfortunately, criminals have plenty of both. That's the uncomfortable truth underneath everything we're about to cover. This isn't really a story about scarier scams. It's a story about the same old scams suddenly becoming cheaper, faster, more convincing, and available at a scale that was never possible before. So now, let's see exactly what that looks like in practice. Part 4, How AI Supercharges Attacks. 4A, Voice Cloning Attacks. Let's start with the one that should genuinely make you a little uneasy. Your own voice, cloned. Here's the terrifying part. It doesn't require a hacker to break into anything. All they need is a recording of you talking, and that recording might already be somewhere online. A TikTok, a podcast appearance, a work call that was recorded and posted, even a voicemail greeting. 3 seconds. That's the benchmark experts now point to for a usable, convincing clone. Now picture this. Your phone rings. The caller ID shows your daughter's number, or at least it looks like her number. You answer, and it's her voice. She's panicked. She tells you she's been in an accident. She needs money sent right now. And then she says, please don't call dad. Except it isn't her. It's her voice, cloned from a handful of public videos. And now it's being controlled in real time by a scammer reading a script from a screen. This exact style of attack has already cost real families real money. It's become common enough that federal law enforcement has specifically warned the public about it. And they've recommended something surprisingly simple. Families should create a private, safe word, something only your real family would know. Then, before sending anyone money over the phone, use that word to confirm who you're actually talking to. Hold on to that idea. We're coming back to it in the protection section, because honestly, it might be the single most useful tip in this entire 2-hour video. By the way, this specific technique, using a cloned voice over the phone to manipulate someone, has a name in the industry. Phishing. It's short for voice phishing. It's a useful word to know because you'll see it in security articles all the time. And it's not just families. The exact same trick works inside companies. Picture a junior employee getting a phone call from what sounds exactly like their manager. The manager sounds urgent. They need gift cards purchased immediately, or they need an unusual payment pushed through before the end of the day. Same playbook, same 3-second voice sample, just a different target. There's one more group worth mentioning here. Older relatives are often targeted by voice scams, partly because they may not realize just how convincing this technology has become. So if you take one action item away from this section, make it this. Have the safe word conversation with your parents or grandparents this week. Not eventually, this week. Measure 4B, deepfake video calls. Now let's take this one step further, from a phone call to a full video meeting. And this is exactly what happened in the $25 million case that opened this video. Here's how it unfolded. An employee at an engineering firm's Hong Kong office received a message that appeared to come from the company's UK-based chief financial officer. At first, he was suspicious, understandably, but then he was invited to a video call. And on that call were what appeared to be the CFO and several other coworkers he personally recognized, Every face on that screen, every voice, all generated. Convinced he was genuinely speaking with his leadership team, he authorized the transfers. 15 separate transfers, spread across 5 different Hong Kong bank accounts. $25 million gone before anyone realized what had actually happened. I want to be fair here. This isn't a story about some careless beginner making an obvious mistake. It fooled a trained finance professional at a real company with real security procedures already in place. That's exactly why this matters to you. Whether you run a business or not, we'll go deeper into this case in part 5. But first, I want you to understand how it was technically possible. Real-time deepfake tools can now generate a consistent face live during an actual video call. No obvious flickering, no constant glitches. The face can react, it can appear to listen, it can talk back, and it can remain convincing throughout the conversation. Think about that for a second. An hour, a few dollars, that's all it can take to fake a human being and just let that sink in. Have 4C, AI written phishing. Now let's shift gears. No video, no voice, just text. Old school phishing emails used to be almost a running joke in cybersecurity. Bad grammar, strange formatting, dear valued customer instead of your actual name, obvious red flags everywhere. AI quietly changed that. Language models can now write phishing emails that are grammatically flawless. They can be personally tailored, and they can include real details. Your actual job title, a recent transaction, even the specific tone and wording used by your coworkers. Those details can come from previously leaked or scraped messages. That old advice you've probably heard, just look for the spelling mistakes, barely helps anymore. The mistakes are gone, which means something else matters more now. The behavior, urgency, unusual requests, pressure to skip normal procedures. Those warning signs matter more than writing quality ever did. There's a specific name for the personalized version of this. Spear phishing. Spear, because instead of casting a wide net and hoping someone bites, it's a single, carefully aimed attack against one specific person. The attacker builds that message using details gathered from public profiles, social posts, and even leaked data from unrelated breaches. Here's a quick example. Imagine receiving a text message that appears to come from your company's IT department. It says, "Hi, your actual first name. This is IT. We noticed unusual sign-in activity on your account this morning. Please verify your identity here within the next 15 minutes to avoid a lockout." Perfect grammar, your real name, a believable reason, a little bit of urgency. That's the formula. And AI can generate a version of that message, personalized for thousands of employees, in less time than it takes you to finish this sentence. 4D, fake relationships and romance scams. This next one is quieter than a $25 million heist, but it may be even more heartbreaking because instead of targeting a company's bank account, it targets loneliness. You've probably heard the term pig butchering scam. It's a grim name, but it describes the pattern surprisingly well. A criminal slowly builds a fake romantic or friendly relationship with someone. Not for a day, not for a week, sometimes for months. They build trust. They create an emotional connection. Then eventually they steer the victim toward a fake investment, usually involving crypto, and then they disappear, along with the victim's money. Before AI, one of the biggest weaknesses in these scams was the photos. A fake dating profile might use stolen pictures, and stolen pictures can often be found with a reverse image search, which can expose the scam very quickly. AI changed that. Now scammers can generate completely original photos. They can even create short videos of people who don't exist at all. Or they can convincingly copy the likeness of a real person without making it easy to detect. That makes the relationship feel more real, for longer. And the longer it feels real, the deeper the trust can become. I'm not sharing this to embarrass anyone who's ever been targeted by one of these scams. Honestly, it's the opposite. These scams work because they're specifically designed to exploit trust and loneliness, not because the victim is stupid. Understanding just how convincing these tools have become is exactly how you protect yourself and the people you care about. 4E, AI malware and automated scam centers. Now we reach the final piece of the attack puzzle, and this one is genuinely wild. Fully automated scam operations. Picture an entire fraud call center, except There are no humans on the phones. Synthetic AI voices make calls at massive scale. A language model guides the conversation in real time based on how each victim responds. And separate AI systems can even answer incoming calls from suspicious victims who call back to verify what's happening. Researchers studying this space describe it as fraud, operating on a scale that once would have required hundreds of trained human scammers. Now, it can run with almost no human labor. And malware is evolving alongside all of this. We're seeing malicious code designed to change itself so it can slip past antivirus systems trained to recognize known patterns. There's a proper term for this: polymorphic malware. Poly means many. Morph means shape. So think of it as malware that can change its own shape. The core function stays the same. The disguise keeps changing. There's another, quieter effect worth mentioning. AI coding assistants, the same kinds of tools that can help beginners like you write Python faster, can also lower the skill barrier for writing basic malicious code. It's the same economic advantage we talked about in part 3, just applied to software instead of scam scripts. So now you can see the full attack picture: cloned voices, deepfake video meetings, flawless phishing messages, fake relationships, and fully automated scam operations running around the clock. Take a breath, because everything I just described isn't some distant what if. It has already happened. Real companies, real people, real money, and numbers so large they can sound completely made up. So let's look at the receipts. Part 5, Real Case Studies. Case 1, the $25 million deepfake meeting. We already walked through the mechanics of this one. So now let's focus on what it actually proved. This happened in early 2024 at the Hong Kong office of a global engineering firm. And what makes this case so important isn't only the size of the loss, it's what the attack demonstrated. A live multi-person video call is no longer automatically trustworthy, even when several familiar faces are on the screen. Security researchers point to one major missing safeguard as a key failure. There was no separate, independent way to confirm the request, no callback to a known number, no second approval step outside the compromised video call. Every part of the deception happened inside one conversation. Remember this phrase, out-of-band verification. It simply means confirming a request through a completely separate channel. We'll come back to that in the protection section because it may be the single biggest lesson buried inside this entire case. Case 2, the CEO impersonation that almost worked. This next case is genuinely one of my favorites in the entire video because it's a near miss. And near misses teach us something incredibly important. They show us what actually works. Criminals targeted a major global advertising company. They first created a fake WhatsApp account using a publicly available photo of the real CEO. They used that fake identity to arrange a video call. Then they combined voice cloning with real-time deepfake video during a Microsoft Teams meeting. The goal was to convincingly impersonate the CEO in front of employees. Something felt wrong to the people on that call. They trusted that feeling. Nobody wired a single dollar. Instead, they escalated the situation internally. They verified the request through other people and through other communication channels. And they stopped the attack before any money moved. No losses. Not because the deepfake wasn't convincing. By most accounts, it genuinely was. The attack failed because the people involved paused and verified through a different channel before taking action. Write this down. Seriously. Pause. Verify, then act. That 3-step sentence is the entire game. Case 3, the $15 fake ID. This case is less about video calls and more about something even sneakier: AI quietly beating identity verification systems. Investigators found a website capable of generating a fake but highly convincing identity document for around $15. That fake document was then used to pass an automated identity check on a major cryptocurrency exchange. Think about what that means. The systems companies use to answer a basic question: is this a real person with a real government ID? Can, in some cases, be beaten by a $15 AI-generated image. Here's how it worked in the investigated case. Researchers generated a synthetic passport image using the fake ID tool. Then they submitted it through a major exchange's normal identity verification process, the same kind of process that millions of legitimate users complete every day. It passed. not necessarily because the exchange was simply careless, but because the verification technology at the time wasn't designed to reliably catch AI-generated documents. Industry analysts now estimate that, within the next couple of years, many businesses may no longer fully trust standalone identity verification. Instead, they'll need additional layers, things like liveness checks and cross-checking multiple independent sources of data. We'll come back to those in the defense section. Case 4. When even job interviews aren't safe. Here's another case worth knowing, because this one hits much closer to home for ordinary people. Deepfake job interview scams. And this one can happen in both directions. In some cases, scammers use deepfake identities to pretend they're legitimate remote job candidates. The goal is often to get hired, so they can gain access to company systems or sensitive data. In other cases, fake interviewers or fake companies target real job seekers. They use deepfake video calls to look legitimate, then try to collect personal information or demand money up front. Reported losses tied specifically to this kind of scam have already reached millions of dollars, and that's before counting the people who never report what happened because they're embarrassed. Case 5. Not just a corporate problem. Every case we've looked at so far involved a company. Let's fix that. Because the reality is simple. Regular families are targeted far more often than boardrooms. It's just that a $25 million corporate heist makes bigger headlines than one grandmother losing a few $1,000s. Impersonation scams targeting individuals, where criminals pretend to be someone the victim already knows and trusts, have cost Americans billions of dollars in a single recent year. And when people are asked directly, a large majority say they're worried about receiving an AI-generated call that sounds exactly like someone they love. That's not some distant corporate problem. That's a call your parents this weekend and set up the safe word problem. And we'll get to exactly how to do that very soon. The numbers altogether. Let's zoom out, because individual stories are powerful. But the totals are what should really grab your attention. Reported cybercrime losses in a single recent year crossed $16 billion. That's up roughly a third from the year before. Business email compromise scams alone, criminals impersonating executives or vendors through email, accounted for well over $2.5 billion. Across tens of thousands of separate incidents, AI-related fraud complaints now number in the tens of thousands every year. Reported losses are in the hundreds of millions. And experts widely agree that's still a serious undercount, because many victims never report what happened. One survey of cybersecurity leaders found that more than 60% had personally dealt with a deepfake attack against their own organization in just the previous 12 months. And current projections suggest that AI-driven fraud losses in the United States alone could approach $40 billion a year within the next couple of years. I know that's a lot of numbers, back to back, but I wanted you to see them together, because individually they're stories, together they're a pattern. And patterns are exactly what the rest of this video is about, because now we look at how we fight back. Quick recap before we continue. All right, we're a little past the halfway mark, so let's take 30 seconds to regroup before we dive into the second half. So far, we've covered what AI actually is under the hood, why criminals specifically love it from an economic point of view. 5 major attack styles: voice, video, phishing, romance, and full automation. And we've looked at 5 real cases proving that these attacks aren't science fiction. They're happening at scale right now. From here, we flip the script completely. How do the good guys fight back? And more importantly, what can you personally do starting today so you're not part of one of these stories, including that one simple phrase I promised you at the very beginning? Let's keep going. Part 6, AI versus AI, the defense side. Here's the twist in this whole story. The exact same technology causing all this chaos can also become one of our strongest tools for stopping it. It's genuinely become an arms race. AI generates attacks on one side, AI detects them on the other, and both sides keep improving. Behavioral anomaly detection. One of the biggest defensive tools right now is anomaly detection. The idea is actually pretty simple. AI learns what normal looks like for a person or a system. Then it flags anything that breaks that pattern. For example, maybe you always log in from the same city, usually around the same hours, using the same device. Then suddenly there's a login attempt from another country at 3 in the morning, trying to move a large amount of money. That's a pattern break, and AI can flag it immediately, much faster than a human manually reviewing logs ever could. Deepfake detection tools. There's now an entire category of tools designed specifically to analyze audio and video for subtle signs of AI generation, tiny details that humans usually miss. But algorithms can detect slightly inconsistent reflections in the eyes, unnatural pauses in speech, small changes in speaking rhythm, things like that. But there's an important catch. This is a moving target. As detection improves, generation improves too. And then detection has to improve again. That constant push and pull is the arms race happening in real time. Security training reinvented. This, especially if you run a team or a small business. Old school security training was often very simple. Here's what a phishing email looks like, and that's it. Modern security training can go much further. Some organizations now use realistic deepfake voice and video simulations. Employees might experience a fake CEO call inside a controlled training environment. They get to feel what the pressure looks like. They learn how to respond. And more importantly, they build the instinct to pause and verify before the real attack ever happens. Passwords alone were already outdated. Now it's official. Quick but important detour. You've probably heard of multi-factor authentication, or MFA. It means you need more than just your password to log in. Maybe your password, plus a code from your phone. That extra layer has become even more important now, because a cloned voice can't pass a fingerprint check, and a deepfake video can't magically intercept a one-time code sent to your actual device. This connects to a bigger idea in modern security called zero trust. It sounds intense, but the concept is simple. Don't automatically trust someone just because they're already inside the system or because they're already on the call. Verify identity continuously for every sensitive action, every time. Not because you assume everyone is a criminal, but because in 2026, recognizing someone's face and voice simply isn't reliable proof on its own anymore. Some organizations are adding another layer too, liveness checks. For example, asking someone to turn their head or respond to a random question on camera. Something unpredictable, something happening right now. Why? Because pre-generated deepfake video has a much harder time dealing with random, unscripted requests than it does with a rehearsed conversation. Investment is following the threat. There's one more sign of how seriously all of this is being taken. Funding for companies building anti-deepfake and AI fraud detection tools has grown dramatically. That includes major investments specifically aimed at defending against the kind of AI-powered social engineering we've been talking about throughout this video. So here's the honest takeaway from this section. The defense side isn't helpless. It's actually moving fast. But, and this is the important part, no single tool catches everything, which is exactly why the next section matters so much. Now we get practical. Part 7, how to actually protect yourself. All right, this is the part you actually came here for. Let's make it real and actionable for you and your family. 1. Set a family safe word. This is it. This is the phrase I promised you at the very start of this video. Something short, memorable, that you'd only ever use in a genuine emergency. If anyone calls claiming to be a family member in distress, asking for money, ask for the safe word before doing anything else. A cloned voice cannot know a secret you never said out loud on camera or posted anywhere online. 5 minutes to set up, possibly thousands of dollars saved. Best trade in this entire video. 2. Always verify through a separate channel. If you get a suspicious call, hang up and call that person back on a number you already have saved, never a number they give you in the moment. 3. Slow down on urgency on purpose. Every single case we covered today shared one thing in common: intense pressure to act immediately. Real emergencies rarely require you to skip verification entirely. Scammers manufacture urgency deliberately because panicked people don't double check. 4. Be thoughtful about what's public. The less voice and video content of you that's freely available online, the harder you are to convincingly clone. You don't need to disappear from the internet. Just be intentional about what's public versus private. 5. Turn on multi-factor authentication everywhere it's offered and use a password manager. This one's not directly about deepfakes, but it closes the door AI-written phishing is trying to open. A password manager stops you from reusing the same password everywhere, and MFA means a stolen password alone still isn't enough to get in. If you've been putting this off, today's the day. It genuinely takes 10 minutes per account for businesses and teams. If you run a business or you sit on a finance or approvals team, a few extra layers matter enormously. Require out-of-band approval for any large money transfer, meaning a second, fully independent confirmation method outside whatever channel the original request came through. Request came by email, confirmed by phone on a known number. Request came through a video call, confirmed through a completely separate written channel. Train your team specifically on deepfake scenarios, not just old-school phishing emails. The threat has evolved, so the training has to evolve right alongside it and build a genuine, when in doubt, escalate culture. In that near-miss case study from Part 5, the entire reason nothing was lost is that staff felt safe pausing to ask someone else. That only works if people aren't afraid of wasting time by double-checking a request. For the coders watching, since you know this is a coding channel. All right, coders, you knew I wasn't going to end this video without touching some actual Python. Here's a simple, beginner-friendly concept, a basic anomaly flagging script. Nothing fancy, no machine learning library required, just plain logic that mirrors exactly what real anomaly detection systems do at their core. Compare new activity against a known normal baseline and flag whatever doesn't fit. Python anomaly flagging code. So, let's understand what this little program is doing. First, it defines what normal looks like. We tell the program which hours are considered normal for logging in. We also give it a list of the locations we normally expect to see. Then we create a function that checks a new login. It looks at three things: the time of the login, the location, and the amount of the transaction. For each one, the program asks a simple question. Does this look normal? If the answer is no, it adds a warning to a list. So, for example, a login at an unusual hour gets one warning, an unfamiliar location gets another, and a transaction larger than our chosen limit gets another. At the end, the program checks whether it found any warnings. If it did, it prints that suspicious activity was detected and shows us the reasons. If it didn't, it tells us that the login looks normal. Now look at our test example. We're deliberately giving the program three unusual values: a login at 3 in the morning, an unknown location, and a large transaction amount. Because all three break our normal pattern, the program flags all three. Obviously, real-world systems are far more sophisticated than this. But the core idea is exactly what you just watched happen. Define what normal looks like, then flag whatever breaks that pattern. That's anomaly detection in its simplest possible form, and you just wrote a tiny piece of it yourself. Since we're already here, let's write one more. This time something that mirrors AI-written phishing detection instead. Same idea, nothing fancy, just pattern logic anyone watching can follow. Python phishing red flag scanner. Now let's break this one down like a teacher. This program is looking for warning signs inside a message. We start by creating two groups of suspicious words and phrases. The first group focuses on urgency, things like telling someone to act immediately, verify something right away, or warning that an account will be suspended. The second group focuses on money and financial information, things like gift cards, bank details, wire transfers, and cryptocurrency. Then the program takes the message and checks it against those warning signs. For every suspicious word or phrase it finds, it records a red flag. So if a message contains urgent language, you'll get an urgency warning. If it contains money-related terms, you'll get a money-related warning. And if it contains both, you'll see both types of warnings. Finally, the program checks whether it found any red flags at all. If it did, it tells you that the message looks suspicious and shows you what triggered the warning. If it didn't find anything obvious, it says there are no obvious red flags. But there's something important to understand here. That does not mean the message is safe. It only means this simple rule-based scanner didn't find any of the patterns we've told it to look for. And that's actually a really important security lesson. A simple scanner can catch obvious warning signs, but real phishing detection can be much more advanced because it can look at context, behavior, sender information, links, and many other signals. Simple, right? And that's honestly the point. You don't need to be an advanced programmer to start thinking like a security-minded coder. You just learned two real patterns today: anomaly detection and red flag scanning. Both are genuine building blocks used in real tools, just simplified for a beginner audience. If you'd like a full follow-up video building a complete anomaly detection project step by step, drop it in the comments and I'll make it happen. Part 8, Rapid Fire Questions. Before we wrap up, let's blast through a few questions I already know are coming. Is it illegal to create a deepfake? It depends heavily on where you live and how the deepfake is used. Using someone's likeness to commit fraud, harass them, or impersonate them without consent is illegal in essentially every jurisdiction. And laws specifically targeting deepfakes are expanding quickly around the world. So this is a space that's genuinely changing month by month. Can deepfake detection tools catch everything? No. And be skeptical of anyone who tells you otherwise. This is an active arms race. Detection tools are genuinely useful as one layer of defense, but they should never be your only layer. Should I stop posting videos of myself online? Not necessarily. Honestly, that's not realistic for most people in 2026. Instead, be intentional about what you share. Think about what's completely public and what's limited to friends and family. That matters especially when it comes to long, clear recordings of your voice. How do I spot a deepfake with just my eyes? It's getting harder every month, but there are still some signs. Slightly unnatural blinking, subtle lighting problems, especially around the edges of the face, and audio that doesn't quite match the movement of the lips. But don't rely on these signs as your main defense, because they're disappearing fast as the technology improves. Is my bank responsible if I get scammed this way? It genuinely depends. It can depend on your country, your bank's policies, and the exact circumstances of the scam. This isn't legal advice. If it ever happens to you, contact your bank and your local authorities immediately. Don't assume the answer either way. What's the very first thing I should actually do after watching this video? Easy. Right now. Today. Set up that family-safe word with the people closest to you. Out of everything we've covered over these 2 hours, it costs nothing. It takes about 5 minutes, and it protects against one of the most common versions of this scam. Can I use AI myself to help protect against this stuff? Absolutely. Plenty of legitimate security tools already use AI defensively, exactly like covered in Part 6. The goal was never to avoid AI completely. The goal was to understand it well enough so it works for you instead of against you. Good questions, honestly. And if you've got more, drop them in the comments. I read every single one. And the best questions might become their own full video. Part 9, wrap up. Let's bring this all the way back to where we started. That $25 million video call was real. The voice cloning technology was real. The deepfake meeting technology was real. 3 seconds of audio, an hour of video generation, a few dollars. That's real too, but so is everything else we covered. Safe words, out-of-band verification, slowing down when someone creates a sense of urgency, better security training, smarter detection tools, and even a few lines of Python that you now understand. The goal of this video was never to make you afraid of technology. It was to make you one step ahead of it, because the technology is not going away. And honestly, it's only going to get better. The question isn't whether AI will become more powerful. It will. The question is whether we'll become smarter about how we use it and how we defend ourselves against it. So if this video actually helped you, do me a favor and hit subscribe. Because here on Cyber Programming Academy, we're going to keep breaking down cybersecurity and coding topics exactly like this. Plain language, real examples, zero unnecessary fluff. And before you go, drop a comment and tell me which case study surprised you the most. I genuinely read every one. Stay sharp out there, keep coding, and I'll see you in the next video.